Gonna go check out that log, along with this tree, and this tree. And what I'm showing you here is they're just off the side of the road. I'm on my way to a reservoir in Roosevelt, Arizona, and I've pulled over here, and we're gonna go check out these trees. I'm gonna include a link in the description that explains how the Earth is one giant battery, and how Tesla had already built a car that was running around charging itself using the energy that's naturally in the atmosphere, and how they said, well, if it can't be metered, we don't want it. And I'm going to segue that into a larger understanding of some other things. But what I'm showing you here is just more of the same. How it's hollowed out in the middle, unburned here, highly burned there. Everyone from the road can see what I'm showing you here. I'm going to show you a couple more of these bushes over here that have the same basic burn pattern. Let's go look at that one up there. That one's got some gnarliness to it. Yeah. And what's crazy about this is the spots like this that are totally unburned. So there's no question this is electricity coming up from the ground, underground lightning. And you already know this if you've been watching this channel. See the burn unburn line right here? Straight cray cray. And so when it says in the Bible, God promised there wouldn't be any more floods, but the earth will be cleansed by fire, it would seem that this is how it happens. So some of these others, same burn pattern. Here you can see where it's burned on the tip. That's typically one of the things I'm able to show you quite often, how this one right here is burned on the tip. Whenever it wants to focus anyway. The same pattern that's produced right there, how this one's just burnt on the tip, is also produced right here. There's a burn streak here, in the midst of unburned. That's the typical concave streak going up the branch within the middle of this real dry stuff. So again, flameless. Otherwise, whatever burnt this right here would have burnt this stuff right here. No doubt. This is literally touching. So if this was burning with any flame at all, flames go up and it would have touched this and all the rest of that. There's another example of how just the tip, the lighting's not working too well. I'll let this out of the way. There you go. How it works its way up through the inside and only burns at the exit points. So I kind of wondered if the highway patrol, two of them passed me when I was pulling over right here. I actually backed up a little ways and I hopped out of my truck and acted like I was looking at something in my truck. But if a highway patrol pulls over and says, "What the hell are you doing?" I'll be glad to show him and saying, "Officer, I'm documenting the end of the world as we know it. How's your day going, officer? You got more important stuff to enforce? Higher laws that you're here to serve?" So I'm going to take you over and show you this tree right here. It's kind of awkward with the lighting at this angle, but it has the same burn pattern. Right here is all burnt black. Right here is untouched. Speckled all along until you get to the points where a branch is coming out, and that's where it's always burnt extremely hard, right at that circle where the branch is protruding. And then you just have scattered burn patterns that are totally not fire. Try and break that, but it won't break. Anyway, there's a burn streak going up right here. I don't know how well the light's catching it at all. It's burned here, but not there. And even within the burn, there's unburned spots. Clearly, this is the signs of high intensity electricity. Burned, unburned. And we'll just circle around this tree real quick and then split. But one thing we'll be able to see is right here on the end of this log, how highly burnt it is right on the end, and then unburnt everywhere else. And then all of these branches bear this resemblance right here. If we can get this to show you what I'm showing you, the black circle, center screen, focus. There we go. See the black circle in the center screen? Every one of the tips of these branches here, same thing. Here, I can tell the lighting's not working well. Here, you can see the black circle in the middle, the black tip of this one. All of these branches have these black tips because just like when a lightning bolt strikes a person, it only burns at the entry and at the exit point. So the electricity was flowing up through the tree and it exited out each one of these tips of each one of these branches here. And it's hard to see, but right here there's a end of a branch, and the ends of all these branches, just like right here, lighting really ain't helping, but right here it's all black because a branch was protruding there. Right here, really not happening on the light. The end of this circle is black. Come on, give us a good example. There we go. This one. If we can get all the depth to focus on one depth. There we go. See the black circle where the branch was protruding and the unburned all around. So what this is like is a bolt of lightning that only burns at the entry point and at the exit. So this is an exit, that's an exit right there where that branch comes out. Black on the tip of that circle. Likewise, this whole tree, the same black circle phenomenon right here, right here. So there's one, and there's one. The lighting's not right, but here's one. Here's a good one. It's got a little shade, little shadow on it, but you can get the same basic understanding what's going on here. Every single branch protruding from the tree has this phenomenon where it burnt from the inside, and only on the tip. This one has a double. One right here at the bottom, where there was a smaller branch protruding, and one right there, and one right here. Once it focuses, which it will, see? Mas focus. So there's one, there's two. It's a double phenomenon. Even this little tiny one shows an unburned spot. The unburned spot between this circle and this circle, there's a little tiny unburned spot because it demonstrates how the electricity follows the veins or the fibers of the tree, and it comes out each spot like this one. I'm pretty sure you can see it. You get the point. It's black circle at the tip of every branch. So what's happening here, there's another one, there's another one. Okay, we'll stop beating this dead horse and just tell you what's happening here is the lightning is coming up. And again, I'm going to include a link in the description that shows you how the whole earth is an electromagnetic generator. Just like the alternator on your car that has magnets circling around within a coil of copper, and every time the magnets cross that copper wire, it breaks the magnetic flux lines and sends electricity through that copper wire into your battery. The Earth has a very similar electromagnetic generator that has the electrons of every single piece of matter on Earth, ouch, and the magnetic field. So the spinning of the Earth creates a magnetic field, and then when the magnetic field goes back into the Earth, it produces an electric current. I'll include a link in the description that shows Lenz's law, which also shows you how this works as anti-gravitational technology. It demonstrates that when a magnet is dropped through a copper tube, say this is a copper tube and there's a magnet going right down through the middle of it, it moves very slowly because the magnetism goes out the copper tube and the flux line becomes electricity. And then when it comes back in the copper tube, because every magnetic field is a circle, just like the one around the Earth, and the little magnet that's dropping through this copper tube, if it were vertical, let's say this one, a little magnet dropping through this copper tube, it produces a magnetic field, and as it goes out and goes through the copper tube, it creates electricity. As it comes back in the copper tube, it creates magnetism at a reverse polarity, keeping that magnet from dropping down through the tube. This is called Lenz's law, and they use it to slow down the trains, in the inner city trains and subway trains. Same thing with the Earth. The Earth's magnetic field goes out and comes back in to create an electric current. And then the electric current passes through the same conductive properties, whether it's metal like copper or the molten iron and nickel core of the Earth works the same way. The electrons of the crust, the mantle, the inner mantle, the outer mantle, and the crust are all three different layers of the Earth spinning at different speeds. And as these layers of the Earth circle around one another, there are electrons passing by the conductive material that acts like the magnets on your alternator, passing by the copper coil, and that magnetic flux line goes through the copper coil and creates an electric current. Or once it's become an electric current, that same electric current can pass through that conductive material and create a magnetic flux line, as demonstrated through Lenz's law. So this relates to the anti-gravitational technology and pole shift. Because when the pole shift happens, it may not happen exactly as we may think that it would, because these different layers of the Earth, the inner core, the outer core, the mantle, they're all spinning at different speeds, and they may slow down or even stop at different times. So before you see the outer crust of the Earth actually flip, whether it's a magnetic pole flip or an actual reversal of the physical spin of the Earth. By the way, the moon is on its back. This is all tying into one another. That pole shift, the magnetism is down to such a low degree that solar plasma is penetrating the Earth at unprecedented levels. That's why MB3 detects UVC readings at ground level that, as he said, should always be zero, and they never are anymore. That's also why we're seeing these colorful clouds that, as MB3 says, should only be seen in the Arctic Circle. Because only in the Arctic Circle is the magnetic field weak enough to let that solar plasma in and create those colorful clouds. We now see those colorful clouds all around. That solar plasma is the type of electricity that is required to create these types of fires. We can also talk about the filaments, where the magnetic field of the Earth and the magnetic field of the sun connect. That's what created the sun portal that I caught video of, that images will be included in the link of the description of this video. And that's also how they do SMAC, solar magnetic amplification causative configurator, to be able to create and control the timing, intensity, and duration of a solar flare by connecting the magnetic field of the Earth and the magnetic field of the sun. By the way, have you heard? Recently, they're telling us that the moon is within the atmosphere of the Earth. That's right. A lot of those videos that I saw online where they're saying, look, there's clouds going behind the moon, I just dismissed them. I thought the cloud is going in front of the moon, and because it's such a thin cloud, it virtually disappears when it goes in front of the moon. And it looks like it disappears, but it's just because the light is so intense that it basically makes an optical illusion that the cloud disappears behind the moon. But they're now telling us the moon is within the Earth's atmosphere. So I'm going to bring this to an end. It was just a quirky day, and then when I saw these sitting here, it's like, oh, duty calls. Out here in the middle of nowhere where nothing else burned, as you can see, nothing. And if it did, it burned exactly as this did. From the inside out with high intense levels of electricity. Okay, so we're still in the same vicinity. There's the truck, there's the trees we were just looking at. And you'll see this one, highly burnt out on the inside, zero burn on the outside. All it did was explode the inside and the bottom. Oh, by the way, a Plain Truth 3. I found him. I haven't been watching his videos for a long time because I didn't think he even made another channel. I didn't think he created a Plain Truth 3. But he's got some videos where there's a firefighter standing there pointing at a log like this that was exploded from the inside. And he's trying to, you know, get the word out. Shame on all of you that aren't saying anything. These are not natural fires. This is the underground lightning that came from the inside. And left the weeds. See these weeds? But burned out the inside of this enough that it took the thing down. We're gonna go check out a couple more. Like that one over there. Here's the one we were just looking at. That's what it looks like from here. And as you can see, everything's unburned, except that. And this one's just got a lot more of the same sporadic burn pattern. This one's highly burnt. You got the circles. Wanna burn a circle? To burn a circle? See the end of that branch? And then the speckled pattern, how it's all just kind of got the leopard print here and there, where the overall microwave energy. That's the bark. That's the burn line. And it's like fires on an alien planet. You can see this one has the same, I don't know if it'll focus for us. Apparently not. There you go. The inside of this one is black. So this alone, I'm going to talk in my next video about quite a few different things. One, how the development of Space Force is just like the development of Homeland Security. The only thing we need is an extraterrestrial 9/11 to activate the Space Force. It's like retrocausality or predictive programming. First they create the Homeland Security and then they create the need for it. So here's the bush we were just looking at. There's the truck over there. There's this tree, that tree, the ones we've already looked at. We're gonna go check this one out and then call it. This one's a beaut. It's this kind of telltale sign that weirds me out. Seeing the highly burnt, huge intensity right next to the unburnt. So I almost kind of wish a cop would come ask me, hey, what are you doing? I'm documenting the end of your planet. What are you doing, officer? And I feel fine. That's one thing I'm going to talk about in my next video. Is that most people don't have something to grab onto in order to help them feel fine. You know, like the song. It's the end of the world. I see another one over here. As we know it. and I feel fine. Ouch. We're gonna look also maybe at these rocks where it's got burn pattern. Anyway. But for the grace of God, there go I. Most people go into an emotional tailspin about shit that don't matter and cannot pull out of it. Just in regular everyday affairs. Imagine what they would do if suddenly they were all faced with this and it was on the mainstream evening news. And the average person who has no spirituality, has found no meaning in life, was forced to process this information. It would be the equivalent of an incoming asteroid. There's a reason they don't tell people about an incoming asteroid, right? We've all heard that. No, they're not going to tell you because it's just going to create panic, and there's nothing anyone can do anyway. I want a shot. Likewise, about these electromagnetic plasma fires, they are not telling the public for the same reason. Nothing you can do, and it would cause people to go into a tailspin. They would not be getting up and going to work the next day. If all this stuff I've documented, hit the evening news and everyone was talking about it, people would not be going to work the next day. That's pretty clear. And that's why you don't hear about it. Because this makes people go, gulp. So who needs a Planet X or an incoming asteroid when you've already got this? These are the final scenes. I know it's hard to process and hard to fathom, and it all seems surreal. And we respond to these videos I've made just the same way you respond to any other dude on the two-dimensional screen. As if it doesn't affect you. Even I am guilty of that. As if it's a movie. It's all surreal. It's all just happening on this two-dimensional screen. And so we're kind of like consumers. We just click on the next thing and consume the next bit of information. And even go out of our way to disregard what it was we just saw. Because it is so jarring, it means nothing else really matters. And in order to carry on with life as we know it, you gotta kind of disregard this stuff. That's how real it is. So I don't blame anyone, but my next videos are gonna be pretty in-depth on the subject matter here. I'll just give you a little teaser. No, I'll wait. There we go. So I got a sunset to get to up here at Roosevelt Reservoir in Roosevelt, Arizona, way out in the middle of nowhere. And lucky me, I got delayed at my last delivery, so I get to wait till the morning to load. And I'm getting paid to do this. Yeah, I feel fine, and I kind of have empathy and sympathy for those who don't have something to grab onto, who don't have a solid relationship with God or an understanding of the meaning of this life, and that there is so much more than we even have a slight inclination to understand. And I kind of feel bad for them, because I know what it feels like to go into those emotional tailspins and spirals, and how hard it is to come out, even now, when I've discovered my connection to the divine. Sometimes it's easy to get wrapped up in the here and now and forget about all that stuff. Imagine how hard it would be for me, even as a truth seeker, had I not discovered God a long time ago. I wouldn't be able to just stroll through this. And it wasn't that long ago, okay? It's been building for my whole life. But without God, it's all too much to take in. So when you see someone on an action movie, you know, Bruce Willis, Arnold Schwarzenegger, anybody, doing what they do, how did it change your life? It didn't. It was just a movie. I turned it off and I went to bed and I woke up the next morning. And that is exactly how most people treat this information I'm presenting here. How did it change your life? What did you do with that information? Nothing. Same thing I did after I watched Die Hard or Terminator. I said, well, that's cool. And I moved on to the next pasture and I grazed some of the information from the next channel and I clicked on the next video. And we respond to this in much the same way we respond to all that other stuff that happened on the two-dimensional screen. But this is very real. The only inappropriate response is to not respond. Truth or Consequences, New Mexico was cited in MB3's recent video, and it occurred